that we have. We can't lose, otherwise we're going to be out of LCS.
I mean, if you lose, you just look terrible. So we want to keep our pride.
I can imagine it's going to be quite interesting to watch.
I think the strongest point is just Santorin, and everyone else is like very inconsistent.
Everybody wants to be in LCS. If you lose, you have to play Challenger Series, and it doesn't really feel great.
We pretty much have to do all we can, improve as much as we can so we can try to take the win and stay in LCS.
This is really high pressure, obviously. We don't have any more chances, and it's just time to go all out for us.
Good afternoon, everybody. The North American LCS Promotion Series concludes today. 2 LCS teams arrived here this morning, but only one will go on to the 2017 Spring Split. EchoFox Jungler Hard here, seen setting up, getting ready for today's best of 5. He'll be facing off against NRG, and you can see Santorin. He's going to be coming out alongside mid laner GBM to try to get things started for the day. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. I'm Rivington Bisson III, joined on the desk by Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley. Isaac, I know you have so much to say. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. It's kind of, I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. I've been on the desk twice this weekend and no dash either time. I don't know what's happening.
Let's try to stop myself. I'm James Daspet. Actually, I'm not. Things are switched up today, but it still leaves NRG and it still leaves Phoenix 1. I'm sorry, NRG and EchoFox out on to play today. Yesterday, Phoenix 1 and Cloud9 Challenger qualified for the LCS following their victories over EchoFox and NRG. As a result of that, today NRG and EchoFox are forced to battle it out for the last remaining LCS slot right here in just a couple of minutes. And it puts the pressure on. They've kind of felt it for the last bit of the split, Isaac, but coming up to now, they have to leave it all on the Rift or they're going to have to go home.
And it's going to be a tough one, and confidence, I think, will come a lot into play, simply because both these teams straight up got blasted yesterday. It was 3-0s across the board.
Put it that way.
And, I mean, they got to come back, and they got to stay confident, know that they can execute, rely on the successes that they've had in the past.
We'll have to see what happens. We are just about ready to jump into game. The teams are ready to get locked in for Champion Select. As we toss to the casters to get underway, GBM has some fighting words for EchoFox.
상대방이 에코폭스라서 좀 부담스럽지는 않아요. 왜냐면 제가 에코폭스한테 진 적이 한 번도 없어서 이번에 좀 프로게인하고 좀 급하고 미안하지만 내가 올라가야겠다.
Well, we'll see if that's the case here for GBM and the rest of NRG eSports. We are here and ready to go into the cast. I am David Freak Turley, and watching with me and you, everyone's friend, it's Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler.
Hello, friend.
Hello,
right,
friend.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, absolutely. So EchoFox and NRG are battling it out in a best of 5 with the last spot in the North American LCS 2017 Spring Split up for grabs. Loser goes on a Challenger, winner LCS.
Yes, today is a very tense day for both of these teams. As they said on the desk, both these teams got 3-0'd yesterday, and so it's going to take a lot of mental fortitude to come back today, because this is where everything matters. And let's take a look at these two teams. There are bright spots for each team. On NRG, they beat EchoFox twice during the summer split. They have to feel pretty good about that coming in to this series. For EchoFox, though, Froggen has been looking a lot better than GBM. I mean, GBM versus Cloud9 Challenger and versus High had a pretty rough series there for him. And Froggen on EchoFox has been definitely their best player, trying everything he can possibly do in every game that they do play.
Absolutely agree, and we've seen Froggen pull several bans sort of every single game they play and still find something nice to play, like the Ardent Sensor Lux in Game 5 against TLA. Maybe we get more good things from them. But let's talk about players on the other side, because whilst Froggen's been good and GBM's not been great, Hard versus Santorin goes the other way.
Exactly. Hard has been struggling in EchoFox's series, whereas Santorin, we even saw it in that video, all the other teams are recognizing him as being a huge playmaker for this team. He's doing a lot in the early game. I mean, all those old jokes about him back in 2015 or something are out the window. Santorin has been ganking pretty much all lanes and trying to get anyone ahead for his team. So those are definitely roles that can influence the mid lane matchup as well. So these are two of the ones that we're going to keep our eyes on for this series.
Absolutely agree. That 2-on-2 mid jungle going to be a big deal in this matchup, probably for the entire time. So we're going to check out the starting lineup before we get ourselves into the first game. On the blue side for this one is EchoFox with KFO up in the top lane, Hard in the jungle. Froggen in mid, big player for them. Keith at AD carry, big on support. And their coach, Heaven Time.
And choosing red side for game number 1, it is NRG. Up top is Quas. In the jungle, Santorin. Mid, GBM. AD carry, OQ. Support, Kiwi Kid. And Coach Hermit on stage. Now, they are having a bit of a sound issue right now, so we're going to delay the champion select for a little bit more, and we can talk more about the importance of this day, because this is the day. We talked a little bit about mental fortitude, but to me, these are the games that it really does come down to that mental game, because both of these teams have been on the bottom of the LCS, and people really underestimate how difficult it is to be a pro player, especially a pro player on one of the teams that are at the bottom of the LCS. Because even though they are better than 99.99% of other league players out there, they get so much criticism. And so a lot of the gameplay here for these teams are the mental fortitude of trying to keep up your attitude and keep your team morale high, and come into something like this very focused on what you need to do to win.
Right. So the thing is, like, if you're the 12th best support in North America, like, you're the worst player in this league and everyone's like yelling at you, but you're the 12th best player in your role. Like, that's exceptionally good. And that's kind of the situation some of these players are in right here. And so we can kind of see just what they're able to do for themselves. Echo Fox specifically have had to play a whole lot of games as well. Thankfully for them, they've pulled out a couple of wins. They got that match win over Team Liquid Academy, which is a big deal for them. But since Thursday, this is now their third best of 5. Like, they've had to dump so many games in and make sure that they're ready to go. And the thing is, as well, because they've played so much, of course, these teams are heavily scoutable, right? This is like, in one day, well, now we know your strats, and now we're ready to pick for you.
Yeah, and Echo Fox has been very clear kind of with their pick orders. A couple of champions for each role, and they kind of go down the tier list. For top, it has been the Fiora and the Gnar for them. And then jungle, very obviously. Well, the jungle tier list is pretty much the same for everybody.
Everyone's playing Rek'Sai Gragas almost all the time.
Hard has been going a lot with the Gragas. Trying with that one. And then Froggen actually has a decent amount of wiggle room there, but he's been receiving so many bans, as you talked about. Then it's pretty much been the Vladimir and Malzahar for him. And Soraka, pretty much every game for Big. Every game that they can get it has been Soraka for him. But we'll have to see if NRG are prepared for it, because they definitely have seen the last 2 series where Echo Fox drafted very similar compositions in almost every game. That being said, if you lay that kind of groundwork, Echo Fox, we're going to surprise them now and switch everything up, try something different.
Well, it's something I really liked, actually, coming in and watching the specifically Echo Fox versus Phoenix 1 series, because there was a 2-day break between the Echo Fox TLA series on Thursday and then on Saturday when these guys played P1. And basically P1 said, okay, so we understand what you're drafting. And it's like, okay, so seeing the bans that TLA did, they like, okay, here's what Froggen plays. And so P1 got to say, okay, well, we know what you're going to first pick. We know we can make you first like Malzahar and prep a strat knowing you're going to play that champion and like set up the ban and pick phase around that situation. Now Echo Fox finally had the same situation themselves. They got to see NRG play a few games as well. They got to see what the pick trends are and whatnot, and actually just be ready, because you've got basically a 12-hour turnaround between playing your last series and playing this one. Not a lot has changed. You haven't learned a new champion to put in the pool, and it's all now, it's even more so, I think, about your prep work and knowing what they're obviously going for in this case. And I think it's an interesting contrast between this and playoffs. I got to talk really briefly with some of the C9 players when they were getting makeup. They're here for features. They're going to talk about their series against Envy next weekend. And the thought was like, hey, the metagame is going to evolve every single week in the playoffs, because 615 is going to come out for the playoffs. It's going to change what champions you play. And then after week 1, everyone takes those learnings and applies them to week 2. And then week 2 looks different from week 1. And then the semifinals happen and you apply them again in the third place match in the final. And like, you keep evolving the game every single week, even if you're playing on the same patch. In this case, you don't get a chance to evolve. You get a chance to adapt what your opponents think is good and counter strat them essentially.
Yeah, and just to recap for everybody tuning in now, had some audio issues that we're working through at the moment, and so we will get into Champ Select as soon as possible. But yeah, this is everybody's getting pretty antsy so far. I mean, we have one of these teams that was in the North American LCS during Summer Split that will not be with us, probably going to the Challenger Series.
Yeah, one of these 2 new teams of the year. Both these teams actually sort of created at the beginning of 2016. The spots were bought by their previous from the previous teams, basically, new owners. And They both had reasonably good spring splits. Echo Fox in 7th, but even that was only because they didn't have the roster together for part of it. Like, they were nearly a playoff team. NRG was a playoff team. And then Echo Fox kept the same formula. They came back at the split again in the summer. NRG replaced 4 of their players, and both teams actually got worse in the summer split. And, unfortunately, now we're here as the 2 bottom performing NALCS teams.
Yeah, it's always cool to look through each of the rosters too and pick out all these returning players. Quas there on your screen, having taken off time from Team Liquid and taking off a split there for a while. Santorin coming back, previous time on TSM. So all these people that have been in the LCS before, have played at this level before, gone through some off time, had some ups and downs, and found themselves back here battling once again. For a spot.
And at least you see the players are able to find homes constantly if they're worth the effort and they're good enough players. But since we do have a bit of a delay on stage, we're going to toss it over to the analyst desk to talk about the match some more.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, and we will take over for a little bit from here. We didn't get too much time in the beginning to discuss the matchup, so actually looking at this, Kobe mentioned kind of the mental going in. Is it really something that these players are going to have to lock down in the beginning? Can they use what they have in the way of education, what they've learned against the other team to kind of be able to release that mental pressure, say, let's get the first few games and do it strong? Or how are they going to work this?
Yeah, I think it can be really tough. And like having been in situations like programmer doing that kind of stuff with myself.
Absolutely.
There's sometimes it comes down to what kind of a player you are, what kind of a person you are in those situations. Because there are people who they rise to the occasion in these high pressure situations, and there's others who really crumble. And I think that I've played with both in the past, and I think a lot of people in these situations have played with both. And that can mean that the first game is so incredibly important, especially when you're playing with people who tend to kind of crumble under pressure.
Absolutely.
And it can really dictate the entire pace of the series, because sometimes just getting that first win is going to be able to give you the confidence to say, hey, we actually can do this. And a lot of these guys sometimes do need that little bit of a boost, right?
Yep.
And getting that first win can mean it's going to push you towards that series victory. And I think a lot does come down to confidence, but also, when you look across the board, I think one of the biggest mismatches here is going to be in the jungle. And I think that, Santorin is outclassing hard a lot. I think that's somewhere where if you're on energy, you can kind of look to that and be like, hey, that's where I can pull some confidence from.
Right.
Santorin should be able to smash this guy.
So when you look at that kind of matchup, is that something you actually go for in the picks and bans and leave Froggen open, leave a little bit of that top lane Ray open? How much do you actually put into consideration for that jungle matchup?
I think it can be tough. I think that you have to put a lot of consideration, not necessarily in picks and bans, but I mean the way you play the game, right? If you feel like, hey, this guy's champion pool is a little bit shallow and we can ban him out, then great, go for it. But with most of the junglers, they're playing very similar champions, and it's just about playstyle, aggression, and you have to really be wary of what they can do. And, KFO is a guy who does tend to get caught a lot. He greeds for these extra waves and stuff, and if he doesn't want to cost his team the series, potentially, he's going to have to play extra safe. He's going to have to know, hey, Santorin could be here. Maybe I should back off. I have to wait for my jungler. I have to wait for my support to make me safe in these situations.
Absolutely. All right, so it does look like things are getting ready to go. We're going to go ahead and send back to the Battle Theater to get this series started.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, Champ Select is ready to begin, and we are ready to go into this one. And I want to see if NRG does that same 3-band set they had before, or if something goes a little bit different. Looking at our screen right now, actually, bands have not. There we go. Champ Select has actually begun. We had the graphic up, but now we are up in this one. And the first ban is going to be the Hecarim.
Up in here with Freak. Okay.
Y'all gonna make me ban some Hecarims.
All right, Vladimir off the table for Froggen. So, will the Anivia, will the Malzahar? Let us take a look. Okay, Twitch for OQ is still available. It's something I want to see him play more of, especially in the face of things like the Sivir bans and Ashe bans that have been coming through.
Yeah, it is always interesting seeing the Sivir ban as well, blue side. Generally speaking, I don't know if that's actually still the case right now, but oftentimes she's been kind of considered a first pick worthy champion.
Oh yeah.
Echo Fox not wanting to do that. Soraka off the table for Big. That's no big surprise here. Wasn't intentional, but it happened anyway. Yeah. But now it does mean that it won't be the triple ban onto Froggen, and he either gets to play Anivia or Malzahar as a first pick, or maybe something else. We'll see.
It's interesting, because that's one of those trends that we caught onto with Echo Fox. So they've been picking Soraka over and over and over. But a lot of the other teams have said that they don't really care about that trend, whereas NRG is just looking to throw Echo Fox off of their strategies that they've been going over and over, throw them out of the comfort zone.
Ooh, looks like a
Make
Malzahar.
something else.
if you're banning away the Xerath that GBM's been playing, that was picked into Malzahar most recently and had looked really good in the matchup.
Yeah, poke pretty good against him. You could still use Varus against him.
True.
If you wanted to play that same strategy, but GBM's Xerath is legendary from years past.
Very good at the champion, definitely. I know Varus can be good in the matchup as well. Maybe be the final ban, so maybe we see what Furion had done into it. And there's the Malzahar hover. And yeah, there it is, locked in.
No surprise for either team so far. Oh, and they do steal away the Gnar that we were talking about for the top lane for KFO. So we'll see what he decides to go with, whether it is, you know, the Fiora or trying his hand at Aurelia this time around. Regardless though, Karma, flex pick, could be GBM again. He does like playing that in the mid lane, so this is definitely one of the teams where you put a little bit more weight on the flexibility of that Karma pick. It's not just going to Kiwi Kid, but very well could.
Because OQ's Twitch is up, and it's been one of his better champions overall. Karma great at enabling that kind of playstyle as well, something extra supportive to let your AD carry just 1v5 the whole game at that point. Echo Fox have to make their own considerations. I personally would like Ashe plus the Gragas here. We'll see what they actually consider as most important. They could also make sure they pinch away some more supports if it is going to be a Karma flex. Rek'Sai right now the hover instead of the Gragas, and actually they're waiting. They're going to go Gangplank into Gnar, which is just what KFO wants to do at this point. Doesn't want to do the Fiora into it he had been doing before, but now more of a team fighter with the Gangplank as long as he can survive the lane.
Yeah, and you do mention the Gragas, and I feel like Hard has had some hiccups with the champion recently. Rek'Sai is definitely a much more straightforward champion and a lot easier to farm hard on. So I feel like with the Rek'Sai pick, you shouldn't fall as far behind in experience and should be able to play a solid front line for the team. Just build full tank on that Rek'Sai, considering your two solo laners are DPS champions, and that should be a good look at this new strategy here from Echo Fox, because the solo laners have been carrying a lot of weight for the team, and now they are definitely in a position to carry this game.
Oh, wow. Blast from the past again. Ziggs is in the building.
Remember the updated Ziggs can destroy towers as well.
If they're, I believe it's, what, 25 to 35% health? I forget the exact numbers.
Them with the satchel charge.
Yep.
Maybe that will be a factor here. It's kind of hard to push on Malzahar, but maybe
Ziggs can push plenty
some,
fast too.
Some rotations come in,
Yeah. One actually important thing just to note about Malzahar in general is the way that Voidling spawning works. Only the most recently spawned Voidling can spawn a new one. Like, they have to kind of chain forward. Ziggs has so much AoE damage. If he actually kills off Voidlings, that's actually a significant portion of Malzahar's damage. They're not particularly durable as well. So if you just have Nightmare and forget AoE, you can cut Malzahar's damage down.
It's actually a good point that you bring that up, because there's a strategy that's I've seen in solo queue in ranked in high ranked, not just
Smite,
not just randomly one, but mid laners actually taking smite to kill off the first voidling so that you stop the spawn. You kind of kill the queen of the bugs, and then it actually does stop the spawn. I'm not endorsing this because I haven't tried it, but it is a strategy that is out there for mid laners trying to play against Malzahar. Don't believe GBM will sacrifice a utility summoner for that, especially because he really does love the extra utility summoners. But just putting it out there.
Yeah.
I like to give the options for people who want to experiment.
Of course. What's the chance actually Malzahar top pulling an Odoamna and it stays Gangplank mid for Froggen?
I mean,
hard farm. Why not?
They are definitely flexible still here. Let's see what the answer is from Santorin. I would expect either Elise or Gragas. I don't expect Santorin to really pull anything crazy here. But we do have a pretty nice siege comp actually coming in as well.
Nidalee
that will add more to their siege. So they do have more poke now. They can siege up with the Ziggs. Jhin ultimate is actually very strong at zoning them off. So I definitely say Hard should go full tank. There are two variations on the Rek'Sai. It is the Tiamat into the Titanic Rek'Sai or the full tank like Reignover style, and I really do prefer, especially in this case, especially against Jhin, who's going to get early flat armor penetration. You can't waste time not building armor on someone. You have to have one person on your team who's going to have health and armor so that they can soak the bullets and ensure that you guys don't get caught out. Otherwise, Jhin just has a field day, and that's why he really rose to popularity in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely the case. So we'll see if that's going to do work for Hard. Of course, Big on the only other tank in the lineup, support Trundle. Just not going to have that much gold to spend on
takes a long time to get
random
going.
win.
Like I said, you don't want to waste any time.
Yeah.
Jin goes right into the bunch of flat armor penetration.
Wait till 35 minutes to get your first tank. That sounds like a great team comp there for Echo Fox. Well, we'll see what happens, guys. It's time to get on the Rift. It's time for you to get on Twitter and let us know who's going to win this match. We're tracking the poll throughout the series, so send your votes. Hashtag NRG win, hashtag FOX win. Let us know if it's going to be Echo Fox or NRG eSports here. Game 1 and a best of 5 where the stakes are a spot in the LCS. If you lose, you're down the challenger for the next split, and we'll see you in 2017. But here we go. The last match these teams will play this year. Let's get into game 1.
As they said on the desk too, game 1 can be a huge factor in that mental game, which is a very big part of this series. When you're at your last line here, your last series, and somebody's going to have to drop out, puts a lot more pressure on all of the players. Everybody fanning out, not wanting to make any aggressive moves early, just defensive openings here, drop down some wards. You can do a little bit later of an invade and try and group up after the fan, but it doesn't look like it's happening here. And everybody content to have standard lanes in game 1 to determine who gets the lead here early on in the series.
And I do want to point out for those keeping track, the promo tournament is still being played on 6.14. So that first tower goal does not exist. It probably does help Ziggs if it were 6.15 to help knock that down. But we are still on the basically the week 9 LCS patch, staying on the same one.
There it is, the late lane swap they were talking about. They wait to have the swap. Keith and Big will head up top. And Kiwiki gonna try and invade here, get that vision down. I don't think they're gonna go in and be able to stop him though.
Yeah, it looks like it's still gonna be ultimately blind. I believe we'll be able to get jungle camps for most of these players. Ooh, we've actually got the Karma and Co invading. OQ and Kiwiki trying to stop Hard and KFO.
How
Keith and
far
Big.
are they going to go? Because Kiwikid has a ward on the Wraiths. If they had stopped and done red, yeah, Kiwikid sees them on the Wraiths, so he's going to come over, and they'll get chased out of the entire jungle. Meanwhile, Santorin, they were able to get those Krugs. They'll probably get chased off the red, but just getting that one
It's a
extra
level 1
camp is a
Trundle,
lot.
though. This is not... yeah, if
But
Santorin
you don't
wants-
have fight here, so yeah, you get chased off.
It'd be risky to try. Big fighting them off, and yes, it's going to reset the red. So Krugs were able to be taken by NRG. They got an extra camp that Echo Fox's jungle duo did not get. But in both cases, the junglers had to run around, and actually, Cute by Heart goes back into the Raptors and takes a somewhat greedy jungle camp that normally you're not allowed to get. I actually like this. I think this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been going back to get one off of their weak side if they do get chased out. It does cost you more time, though, because you have to double back. You have to backtrack over your previous path that you already did. So people have been doing that quite a lot just to make sure they don't lose all the camps on their weak side. But it does delay you a little bit.
Yeah.
And Nidalee can be hard to stop if she gets a lead like that. I think they'll be fine, though, as Santorin and Hard are pretty close at the moment. As far as the lane swap is going, both towers are really close as well, so nobody really going to get out to that early lead. We'll see when they swap back, though, because Echo Fox will be on the bottom side. And if they do get a lead on the second turret trade, if both of them consent to that, that's where we start to see the complexities come in with how many people do we send to stop Dragon? Do we even try and stop the Dragon to contest it? Rift Herald obviously not spawning till 6 minutes.
And here we go as the turrets fall down to the first side. We've got pretty much hard shoves from some of the top laners. Actually a very early recall by NRG. Looks like they're going to have Quas match up with KFO. He's able to recall and pick up Boots of Speed. So Quas will have a small item lead over KFO. Will be temporarily down in XP, though.
Yeah, okay, so the main takeaway there is that NRG are not opting into continuing onto the second tower trade. They don't want to leave Echo Fox with that. Ooh, nice take there from Kiwi Kid. Does get the big Raptor and cashes in.
Bad smite from Hard, so unlucky from him.
Feels bad for him, but does feel good for Froggen. He should be able to go back and get the blue buff. should hand it off there on the Rek'Sai. Actually, honestly, Malzahar doesn't have mana problems early on, so he might just... Oh yeah, wow, that's not even some... I guess he's just tanking it now. Oh man.
Maybe a reset on him?
No. He leashed it. Like he started it so early that he's just been kiting it around there. That is some extra wasted time for the jungler.
Like 30 seconds or more of that too,
Oh,
and then
man.
3 autos from Froggen, man. I mean, Nidalee's already a faster jungler, but Hard like lost a full camp.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things adding up here to talk about why Hard is so far behind now. You know, the small Raptor steal, or the big Raptor steal, I mean.
The blue buff handoff.
Blue buff handoff, plus the opening to the game where he had to walk back for the extra camp rather than just doing a single path there.
Yep.
We'll see if it ends up being a problem because he's taking even more harass clearing out the wards now.
But he does kill Quas's Trinket Ward, who actually placed it over the Raptor buff. So now there's no vision for this Gnar, and with someone who wants to actually bully the top lane matchup against KFO, it's now a spot they can get ganked. But speaking of ganks, this mid lane, Froggen has to try to run. He pops Ghost, flashes away from the Snowman, gets away from the Javelin as well, but that is no sums for Froggen. Chased out of his lane.
And people have not been shy about trying to camp Froggen. So no summoners available for him. Definitely going to be a lot more work needed from everyone else to help out with the vision. Hard is going to need to get a pink ward as well to help him out so that he doesn't get repeat ganks, because that is going to be very dangerous. Zig is deceptively good at setting up ganks, especially good Zig players who can use the satchel charge well. As long as one of those bombs comes through and they knock off the passive first, which should be coming fairly frequently from Ziggs as you go for harass a lot in the minion wave. It's actually pretty scary, even for someone like Malzahar with that passive.
All right, so threat on to Froggen, who's missing his summoners, but now has his ultimate, so if he himself gets a gank, he's got the setup for it, but we'll see if anything good happens. Hard hits level 5, taking the Raptors.
Yeah.
That's a recall, and we have a basically tied game here. We have matched up lanes. The gold is close to identical. KFO has a very big lead over Quas specifically. Part of that being that he got to sit in that lane for a while and get extra farm here, but Keith is actually down quite a bit under OQ. And part of that is him holding a freeze, though, trying to hurt energy in this late stage of the lane swap as they match up in the 2-on-2.
Yeah, actually, Echo Fox right now getting away with some greedy play where they freeze both side lanes, top and bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, there is vision on the bottom for energy, but they haven't committed the people there necessary to try and mess with Big and Keith. And they're actually decided that, okay, our freeze has been held long enough. Need to push it out now. Santorin on the way down as well. This is the area where the dragon really does start to become an option if they are able to shove all the way in there, or if they do have that much control. Meanwhile, though, the top lane here where Quas, level 5, justing level 5 to KFO 6. Gangplank does have ultimate ready for this gank.
Hard did not get spotted, and there was no turret for Quas to run behind. Let's see if he can get away. Gets queued. Hops away. Hard gonna sneak in. Finds the knockup. There's flash away from Quas. And nothing else gained here. Now Keith has to run. Taking auto attacks. The root's gonna come in. Flash away from Cubic Kid. Does not get rooted. But now it's time for the curtain call, and Big's gonna tank the shots. Running out of health, though. He will die to one more snipe, so Keith tanks it for him. Nice teamwork there by the Echo Fox duo lane to get away from that first gank. But it is 3 summoners down by the Echo Fox duo.
Both junglers ganking the lanes that do not have the turrets behind them, the long lanes, and both of them getting summoners, but no kills for either team. Now you do have to remember, KFO didn't use his ultimate though. Gangplank Global is still available to turn something like that around, as both junglers, after their ganks, do go ahead and take off the weak side jungle quadrants for themselves. But OQ!
In onto OQ. Where's the cannon barrage? He's flashed. KFO, someone tell him he has to do something.
I mean, that is aggressive move, considering they don't have much vision, and OQ does burn his flash. So summoners, a lot of flashes down for energy, and there are opportunities for Echo Fox to actually attack now on both sides of the map. It's really up to Santorin's choosing. Does have that almost full level lead over Hard. And about 300 gold over him on Italy, which is pretty standard.
Yeah, he's going kind of par for the course here. Hard, I don't know if you mentioned it, but he is going for the Tiamat build here. I know you wanted to see him go full tank, but that is not the choice here that this Rek'Sai is making. I hope to deal damage. But again, I think you're right, though. You've already got 3 good carries in the team. I agree that like having a tank would just be nicer.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those situations where everybody really tunnels in on the one build that's super common now. Yeah, you rush your team at super fast. You do increase your clear speed. But as we saw Jhin ultimate being used down bottom, especially on someone low health like Big and Keith were both taking big chunks. If there's no one else to block it, and Hard is sitting on a Tiamat, then definitely a lot of options, but no big moves yet. Still very close in this game. Could easily swing either way.
Right, you mentioned the jungler's kind of par for the course as far as gold difference. We had seen a second ago St. Torn was able to take away that bottom side red buff from the dual lane, but Hard is able to match that as well. He got that northern red buff himself, so he's actually able to trade buffs equally. And here's the gank coming in on a GBM. Suppression to knock him into silence. He actually can't cast any spells. The perfect layering of crowd control by Echo Fox, and they get first blood.
First blood on Froggen, the one we were looking at to parry Echo Fox, and he's got to feel very happy about that one. Able to survive during the double summoners being down. Now they get a mid lane kill, which allows them so much control. Transition right down into Dragon, and that is exactly what Echo Fox wanted to start off this series.
Wow, so many good things happening. Even a 10-minute Ocean Drake, not bad at all. Really good start. This is perfectly played.
So you can drop he drops his satchel charge in between here, but he's not able to reactivate it because that silence you're talking about comes back in and lasts until death. So he wasn't able to reactivate it or get the flash out.
Yeah.
If you're in that case, you just got to spam your flash, because if you have that one,
if you're able to cast satchel charge, you could have cast a flash.
Yeah, your millisecond opening. Satchel Charge is really greedy to try and get off and try and save that summoner spell, but
cast animation has to animate, has to land, then you have to reactivate.
Exactly. So GBM wanted to save his flash there and just spamming Satchel Charge instead, but does get punished for it and gives up the first blood. That's going to be completed Morellonomicon plus the extra wards we were talking about for more vision around mid lane. That has been very important for Echo Fox. You can see as Santorin kills this ward on the bottom side, they also had 2 on top side of mid lane. That's where the focus is very clearly from Echo Fox. And now Froggen will just have to hug that top side a little bit as he gets his next blue.
Looks like that one went a lot faster. Hard lost much less time on this one. Feeling a bit better. He actually hasn't gone back to base in a while, though. He's still on that same Hunter's Machete and Tiamat, and still 1 charge of his refillable potion.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
he's just not running out of resources.
Honestly, though, I mean, Nidalee and Rek'Sai are 2 of the best of staying out there for a really long time. And if you're not planning on completing something that actually increases your clear speed, then there's no real need to go back early anyway. Having that early Tiamat, as we said, the pros of it increases your clear speed tremendously.
Yeah.
And you do build into the Tiamat, so you're a little bit of a damage threat later on. You just aren't so strong that you get to be that point man super early on for your team, and you're going to soak up all of the offensive abilities, the Nidalee spears, the Jhin bullets. Nope, they're just going to have to dodge them instead. There is the second option.
That is. So
dodge them all.
At least to his credit, Hard is going towards Cinderhulk now. He's not finishing the Titanic Hydra, so going for the standard blue smite and whatnot. And I'm actually curious, like, because I don't play Rek'Sai much myself, but at a certain point, the gold income you get from going Tiamat can eventually pay for the tank stats.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it is going to be super farm heavy like this, as we're seeing, and he doesn't want to fall behind the Nidalee, so working out decently.
Okay, actually, Echo Fox doing a really good job in the objective game, actually. They've been winning their lanes, pretty much all of them for the most part, and they got the first Ocean Drake. Now they're going to get this Rift Herald as well, give it on a KFO. Echo Fox have been split pushing with this guy the entire promo tournament, basically, and now he's set up to be very successful against Quas.
Very, very strong on Gangplank. Let's see what they're able to do with it, though, because Echo Fox, so far this tournament, they actually have very good dragon control stats. They've had a lot of the Drakes, a lot of good neutral objective control. It's just about Ben transitioning through to the mid-game and really being able to convert. The first team fight, really looking forward to the setup for this one. And that's why I keep checking in on the vision that both teams are laying down.
Right.
A lot of Echo Foxes, as we say, is centered around this mid lane. The Jhin is also an option for breaking the Froggen passive, and trying to start up something here long range, trying to pick somebody off. Use the Jhin ultimates just for slows. But so far, no pick attempts.
Nothing just yet. OQ has his ulti up. Maybe we'll see something come through. KFO actually starting to get pushed around by Quas, who's managed to amass a decent bit of defensive stats now. The Giant Spell, nice parlay, plus 18 gold. He's going to wait for the end of the parlay. Good job, KFO. But yeah, Giant Spell plus Ninja Tabby. Quas is able to withstand a lot of KFO's damage, actually start pushing him into the turret much more heavily. Hard has to give away control. Gets away from the Javelin. Nicely done to him. Both Cole's about to finish stacking up in the next 10 seconds. Keith just gets it now. He's at 2 stacks. OQ only at 5 once he gets back to the bot lane. And Yomu's Ghostblade basically available for both these AD carries. Keith has his already. OQ pretty much has it waiting in base once he finishes Cole stacking. Normal Sight Stones. Normal Smite Stone for Santorin, so extra wards from this guy. We'll see if Hard goes for that as a later item for himself, or it's going to be less total wards for Echo Fox. Triforce now done per KFO is a really big deal, though, so that's going to start really helping the matchup. The 20 CR definitely nice, and the armor pen on that Triforce hit's going to do a lot to get through Quas. Millionaire's doing their various backs. Froggen on his way towards Death Capper Luden's Echo, I suppose. And GBM trying to stack up his tier to go into Seraph, so a very high ability power. And I actually really do like this with Ziggs. The mid-season change to mage itemization, where now Morella Namakan gives max mana. It makes Seraph's Embrace even better. Now you have even more ability power out of this item, and it gives you a really sort of obvious path to the high raw AP build, which is this.
Definitely agree. Both of them starting out with the Morella Namakan. Froggen, though, going to transition probably into a Rylai's or something.
Oh, yeah,
With
right.
that new large rod. But yeah, as you said, both of these AD carries are early spiking AD carries. So there definitely is the possibility that this Infernal Drake, because it is Infernal, is going to spawn that action. And NRG have been keeping up their wards around the Dragon Pit. They have most of the vision there. So even though there's time for Echo Fox to try and get over there and get some down, it's dangerous for them to make that, face check happen. And Froggen actually is the target early.
Getting hit up, goes to the silence, ult back into GBM, and they get the combo out, and he's gonna burn down to the Ignite. Kiwikid trains it back, but Santorin has to run away through a bit of cannon barrage damage. KFO running from Quas. But that was good enough, though. Gets the help on the kill. A 1-for-1 mid laner's down.
Santorin actually flashed to try and go secure the kill. Did go down to the Ignite from Kiwikid, though, in the end. And 1-for-1 traded. Good presence of mind there by Froggen to turn around and trade kills rather than just continue running through the Ziggs ultimate and dying for nothing. Very, very touch and go here. Infernal Drake is up. And if he had not traded kills there, then that would have been a lot of loss of control. Let's take another look at though. Here we go. They pop the passive first. Kiwikid comes in for the gank on Karma. And Froggen has 2 choices at this point. He's like, there's no getting out, so I just got to turn around and ult. And Kiwikid's Ignite does take him down as he's running away.
Yeah.
Let's return though. Pink wards were dropped here. A lot of ward battles to go on before this Drake actually goes down.
Yeah, both these teams doing the best to rehearse their fundamentals here, make sure they got the vision control. Going in on OQ, a great culling, decent damage on a half HP, and he's trying to run away. The turret is there to keep him alive, but the root hits Keith almost in turret range. He's gonna juke back, KFO to tank up the hits. Yeah, and that's gonna be a quick cancel on the ulti. OQ wants that cooldown back a little bit sooner. Echo Fox have a bit of control of the bot lane, but that river being held by GBM. Hard is in a way surrounded, though I don't think he's gonna be attacked here. Froggen pushes in the mid lane a little bit. That's into the turret. KFO takes the Javelin and doesn't quite hit the barrel chain.
Pretty close stuff there. OQ not burning his splash though. Under fire, takes a lot of damage from that trade, but doesn't lose the summoner, which is going to be extremely important for this next team fight, as he's going to be the heavy target. As Jhin, really sucks to have those team fights if Gangplank decides to ult you, and KFO will. Here we go though. Drake will be started up. No Jhin ultimate available for this one. GBM does have Ziggs ulti. It's always a possibility if they can get some vision.
And Frog and KFO both have theirs. Looks like it's going to be no contest. This is an Infernal Drake now. 2 Drakes in a row to Echo Fox, and mathematically one of the better Infernal Drakes in this game. The combo on GBM, and look at the damage they have. It's not quite enough, though, to kill him off.
Santorin's there with the heal on Nidalee, barely enough to keep him alive, and then the long-range wave clear, but man, what a close call there for GBM. Burns both summoners, takes both ultimates from Echo Fox, though, And it's just been NRG getting chunked out over and over again. Echo Fox do have momentum in this game.
Yeah.
We talked about their strong Drake control, and it continues so far in this series. Now Hard moving in for the blue steal as well. Can Santorin land the spear?
He's gonna look for it. Good smite by Hard. No blue buff transfer, but at least it goes away from NRG. And just to talk about the mid lane fight as well, 50 health is all that separated Echo Fox from getting a kill and the mid turret. GBM, because he lived, was able to wave clear those 6 minions in the mid lane left over. All that very, very important. Froggen, you saw a nice mechanic there. He managed to summon his Voidling over the wall onto the blue buff so that he could have that tank, not have it leash. It saves him some time. And you're playing Malzahar at home, make sure you hit W over the wall.
I mean,
you can do it.
Where else would you summon your Voidling?
In case you didn't know you could summon it over the wall. There must be someone watching who didn't know you could. I didn't know you could do that. I've only played Jungle Malz like once, and if you're jungling Malz, you just walk in blue buff.
Oh, Camo gonna flash away, and he's still gonna get chased down. Quas is turning Mega.
Getting slowed, gets rooted up, hit into the wall. Nice Mega Gnar, and that's gonna be enough for him. Even though KFO burned his flash, the chase down was there. 2-2 in kills. Nice pickup for NRG.
Ooh, yeah, Santorin moves top. They really did need that to get some control back in this game. Hard trying to clear out pink wards around mid, though. All right, that is going to be the what they want to rely on. I guess the kill goes over to Quas, and that's going to be their main tank, main initiator. He has the possibility, since he has flash up, of trying to take over a team fight for them.
I think there is some merit in getting Quas ahead. You think about how Echo Fox wants to win the game. It's like Froggen can try to pick up GBM, but GBM can wave clear everything, so it's split push. And if Quas wins the one-on-one, there's no offensive tools left.
It's so hard to split push against Gangplank like that, though, because Gangplank can always farm out a turret and has such great wave clear later in the game.
For sure.
With barrels. Ooh!
Actually gonna land almost all 4 big tanks, one for the team. Nicely done there. Hard, by the way, is going Titanic, actually. The longsword in his inventory going to go towards Jarum's Fist.
Okay.
So it is a more offensive Rek'Sai build. That means that Big is the tank, and by the way, he has no armor in the inventory at all. In fact, there are 0 armor items in the entirety of the Echo Fox inventory here. And maybe that matters quite a bit as OQ and Quas continue to get more powerful. We will see. Quas himself building full tank, none of that frozen mallet.
Yeah. So the main thing to keep in mind for me when the situation does arise like this, where almost no armor or very little armor on the enemy team versus these flat penetration Jhin builds, is when you go for skirmishes like this, where we've seen teams get pretty close from the skirmishes and then everybody trying to flash out and disengage, you really have to keep in mind that the enemy team does have that long-range assassination like chase potential. The team with Jhin, especially if you don't have a full tank, anyone will pick up a lot of extra kills on those skirmishes. So you have to be very careful with the skirmishes you do choose to take.
Yes.
Because if you take it, you better kill somebody.
Or OQ is going to make you real sad about this.
Or it's hard to get out.
Well, fortunate mid-push right there by Echo Fox. GBM had just gone back to pick up his Archangel staff, and with the vacancy, Echo Fox were able to knock down the mid-outer turret, and look at that. It's actually 3-1 now in turret score, 2-0 in Drakes as well. There are some decent matchups still here for NRG, but Echo Fox actually winning right now this early mid-game phase of game 1 right now.
And we talk about early spiking 80 carries. Actually, Keith right now is more scary than OQ. Having the Black Cleaver completed on top of his Ghost Blade is a huge, huge power spike for Lucian. If he can stay up in the team fight, navigate around these. Trundle Pillar, use it to his advantage. The zoning of the Gangplank ultimates and barrels, use that to his advantage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential.
Definitely is, but now Echo Fox has to play this one right because the sniper's coming through. OQ actually only lands 2 of the bullets, and it's not enough to matter.
Said just dodge them. That's the other option.
Yeah, and
Don't
they did.
take them, dodge them.
They got away from half of them. That's a really big deal because it does increasing damage thanks to all the missing health scaling on it. So really fortunate for Echo Fox to get away from some of these bullets. And you look at the lineup really, and it's a lot of physical damage on Echo Fox. You've got Hard, KFO, and Keith all built to carry. The Black Cleaver of Keith should help make sure that the damage sticks on the tank of Quas.
Yeah. Plus Gangplank's armor penetration. I actually really like this damage spread from Echo Fox. They're in a very good position right now with their Drake stacking up, their gold lead increasing a little bit as well. And the next Drake spawning means that it's very easy to try and force some conflict here. If they can put down their wards, because they do have control right now, if they just put down some vision and wait for energy. It's been actually both teams being a little bit cautious in this game number one of a series that's so important for both teams.
Yeah.
You know, staying in the LCS.
Right.
Both of them have been a little bit cautious, not wanting to make a huge mistake that throws the game away really early on, but it's been slow advantages over and over for Echo Fox. These little advantages are adding up very quickly for them into the mid game, and Drake number 3 should be their control. Let's see if NRG try and pull off some snipes. They try and poke them down around the Drake and make their stand here, or if they continue to give over these small advantages.
Well, we'll see the fight over the blue buff. Froggen wants to steal, and actually nicely done. Hard gets the smite. Biggs, Pillar, Froggen's Q both providing some vision, and comes through and denies another for GBM. So I don't believe the Ziggs has gotten a blue buff in a very long time. Now KFO thinks he can beat Quas in the one-on-one. Pops the Hex Drinker, actually, and out goes Gnar. Barrels up for the combo, and a lot of farm for KFO. Starting to really win this matchup. Up 50 almost.
I mean, yeah, that's a very good sign for Echo Fox. They steal the blue, they have control on bottom side, then their 1 versus 1 advantage goes over to KFO, and that secures them the dragon right there. You win 2 skirmishes, even though you don't get any kills.
Yep.
There you go, there's another of your objectives, another of your small advantages, and Echo Fox continue to stack.
It's one of the interesting things about how professional League of Legends works, actually. Well, speaking of this, though, it's KFO having to run away from Quas, landing the slow. Checks a barrel chain, runs, GBM kind of nearby, but Yomuz gets him out. Max CDR armor pen build for KFO. So what I was talking about is, you talk about winning 2 skirmishes means the objective, as they're still fighting full weight again. Javelin's going to miss, a lot of damage on GBM. Titanic Hydra done. Hard, has to be careful, does not get rooted though. But here comes the curtain call. Hits Keith, hits Hard, and now Big says, I'll take one as well.
Perfect. Exactly how you want to do it. Have people trade off because of that missing health you talked about. And no problem for Fox. Yeah, we thought this was going to be an issue. We spent so long talking it up. But not a problem.
So far not. So far not a problem at all. Duskblade second going to be there for OQ. He's not far from completing it. And that'll be fun when it does come out. Keith getting lifesteal. No surprise in the Lucian build as well. Okay, so the thought is that pro players are usually pretty good at understanding when they're going to die. And so if you do enough to say, hey, you die if you fight me, they back off, go to the fountain, and that gives you the Drake. And so you have fights that don't turn into kills, that turn into, in 2 seconds, it would be a kill, so leave. And that's the kind of fights you have. There's actually it's like a cartoon or a comic or something where like, I don't remember what it's from, but basically he like plays the fight out in his mind. It's like two kung fu masters. They play the fight out in their mind and say, oh, okay, you would win the fight. But actually, the way it goes is different anyway. Someone's going to know what movie I'm talking about, and they're going to correct me.
Well, that's good because I'm not.
You have no idea what I'm talking
confused.
Yep. 2 Kung Fu Masters play the fight out in their mind, and then they actually fight in real life.
Sounds sick. I love Kung Fu movies.
Yep. Well, I'll let you know when it goes up on my Twitter feed. Thanks,
it.
Internet. 4,000 gold lead almost for Echo Fox up right now, though. They have played the slow and controlled game. Second Mountain Drake going to spawn in 4 minutes or so, and they've really not given up any advantages. Maybe this is the first one. One snipe towards Froggen, and then Hard is there to make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, they got 1 snipe on the passive, and then all the others dodged or out of range. So NRG now, without that large cooldown, the Jhin ultimate is going to be one of the big things they're missing here. As they still go aggressive, Quas really wants to use this transformation on Gnar, but Keith is heading down from the top lane, so the small area where NRG had that numbers advantage in 5 vs 4, you know, why they wanted to make that engage is going away quickly.
Uh-oh, it's crossed the back lane, gets suppressed, the damage onto the tank, but he's the only tank. He's so durable, it takes a long time to die, but they do pick him off. The trade kill not going to happen. Hard slinks away barely. It's a 5v4 for Echo Fox, culling on towards Santora, but can't pick him off. Italy self-heals. The escape comes through for NRG. Lots of low health bars on all sides, but 1 for 0 to Echo Fox.
Echo Fox kill off the main tank, and they have 2 minion waves pushing. Let's see where they want to press it. Top lane's an option as well, but Froggen is camping on that pink ward, waiting for a face checker.
He's hoping it happens, but looks like there's not going to be anyone to get killed. Kiwi Kid. He's looking around. He's going to cue the brush. Not just yet. Echo Fox still hoping this happens. Santorin puts the trap down. That was good enough. When you place Bushwhack, it does give vision of the area. Santorin playing it right. Good job by NRG to suspect that kind of play.
All right, so Echo Fox don't push in either of the lanes, and GBM will go get a lot of that money. That's good news for NRG because they are hurting right now, and they need extra cash. You know, getting GBM also to level 16 is huge. The extra damage on that ultimate is, can make a big team fight. We talk about the possibilities here for NRG where they turn it around, with Quas with a big flash Gnar ultimate or something actually stunning the team. If you layer that with a GVM ult, that's a possibility. Here we go though, Quas jumps in, immediately gets ulted by Froggen, shreds right through the tank with that percentage health damage, and hard on the Rek'Sai survived due to the heal of Keith being popped there to get him out just barely. And that led to the 1-4-0.
One thing I like doing as well is sort of pointing out when the Drakes have effects. Of course, the extra ability power and attack damage that the Inferno Drake gave Echo Fox helped make sure that Quas died before anything happened. On their side, a lot of Echo Fox were able to stay out on the map for a while because of the Ocean Drake regen. Allowed them to look for that earlier jungle snipe, and now Froggen has to run away from Quas, getting a lot of damage onto him. He's popped, ready for Mega Gnar. The assassination not going to be enough, and now Hard is left alone. He's in a 1v4. That's going to be 2 kills picked up. Well done by NRG to find that opening, and the first actual map control lead of the match for the red side.
All right, they're able to get some picks and stabilize a little bit on map control, but look at all the vision. They might just have to use this time to clear out all the vision that Echo Fox have set up around Baron. There's still a lot of lingering wards for them. Froggen and Hard down for 25 more seconds, though.
All right, it's going to be the attempt. Of course, KFO has Cannon Barrage as well as his own teleport. They're going to walk towards his Baron pit, though.
There's no Rek'Sai tunnels actually up on the top side by Baron, so it would actually be a long time before he could join.
Here comes the attempt. Cannon Barrage down. Lots of damage. GVM going to try to run away, but he gets sniped down. And this could be a catastrophe for NRG. 2,000 health left on Baron. They're going to try to pick up OQ. Santorin wants it. Can he get the Baron? He can. But this could be a slaughter. It's several kills picked up. Looks like overall 4-1 in that fight. I don't know if that was worth the Baron. I think not.
Quadra kill over to Keith in exchange for the Baron. My goodness, they all kind of panic, go to the back. Everyone gets hit with back spikes. Now Echo Fox are pushing up mid as well. They might be able to go take this Mountain Drake and get 4 Drakes in exchange.
I think there's no chance you can test it. You might get this turret first, but there's no minion wave to go for. They can reinforce on this one. The question is, will Echo Fox do that? And instead they say, we'll not take the free turret, we'll instead take the free Drake. We'll get the turret later on.
We mention this so often. When the team behind gets a comeback play like that, and you get 2 really good picks.
It's gonna time out
on the jungler and the mid laner, but then try and make too much of your comeback play. Sometimes you need multiple steps in order to come back in the game, and NRG pushed a little bit too far there. Maybe if they had immediately gone over to the Baron and started it, but they did clear out a bunch of wards, pushed up a minion wave first, and then rotated over to Baron. By that time, here's what happens. 3-man move in. Keith is just free firing. Nobody's trying to stop him. Quas goes out there but gets exhausted immediately, so he doesn't even have a chance. They make the call to finish off the Baron, and luckily for NRG, Santorin did finish it off and get the smite and escape, but still, even with that occurring, Echo Fox, very big lead here.
Yeah, absolutely. Baron itself worth 1,500 gold, and when you go +3 in kills in a team fight, that's also 1,500 gold. Quick wave clear out of GPM. Quas maybe shouldn't have jumped forward, gets pillared back, but he's okay. Keith nearly got Javelin, though. That could have been a kill out from Santorin if that happened. Quick barrel chain and KFO runs out. Echo Fox, still with the same lead they've kind of had before. Yeah, they were able to bounce back from the earlier rough fight in the Baron attempt that kind of backfired, but Echo Fox only at this 3,000 gold. They're just stacking Drakes. That's been their real actual advantage.
Definitely a very real advantage, as Elder Dragon will be the next one coming up. That's another very big point for them to fight over. NRG right now, though, as we said, Santorin was the one who got out. He's the only one wearing that Baron buff, but they're going to be able to use it to try and push in, take some gold back for themselves.
Looks like, bam, that's going to be mid outer turret going down. NRG getting the game closer, but Keith was able to answer. Echo Fox have been able to play the split push game quite well. It's a 1-3-1.
Yep.
KFO shoved the top lane. Keith still shoving in the bot lane. No one is recalling yet to answer. And as long as Keith gets away from this NRG move, and he will, that's just free advantages. Minions sacrificing themselves to the turret. You could recalling on a mid, and this could actually mean mid tier 2 could go down if GBM can't wave clear.
Well, they're definitely grouping up to try and pressure it. At least deny minions with the other two side lanes pushing. Bottom lane does hit the turret. Some damage here on the mid lane, and they get it to less than half.
They get a bit, but there's a little bit of a risk here. Hard swinging away down to half health. The snipes from OQ. Not doing enough, and nice by KFO to walk in, tank it, and then pop himself with the oranges.
All right, that's actually very good for Echo Fox. They can just stabilize here in mid lane and continue the pressure. Bottom is still pushing here as they send KFO.
Oh, they got the catch on a GBM, the flash ult from Froggen, and now the wave clear is gone. This could be all Echo Fox needs to actually push through. Of course, double Mountain Drake plus Ocean means plenty of siege power available to the blue team.
All right,
spot.
They should definitely be able to move in onto this turret. NRG still rotating over from that mid lane. Keith has a lot of damage with him right now, too.
Snipe's gonna hit hard, turret's gone. Quas pillared off to the side, doesn't get the hop in, and he's minion out for a while anyway. And it's a 5v4 for 30 more seconds. There is gonna be no GBM this entire minion wave, this entire push. Barrel chain doesn't get too much done. Hard down to half. Quas on the side, still pushed around a bit, but Keith actually getting chunked dangerously low. KFO running away, gonna get taken down by Santorin, and Echo Fox gonna lose one. A great defense by NRG, winning the 4v5, getting a kill, getting out.
Yeah, they keep their inhibitor alive for the next spawn here. Let's see if Echo Fox are able to get anything else. Just clear out the jungle. Trying to have another death brush here. They've been pretty active with setting up those death brush traps.
Well, their actual engage tools aren't great, right? Their only semi-tank is a Titanic Hydra Rek'Sai who doesn't make the flashiest plays. Froggen was able to get a flash ulti. That was nice. And the biggest tanky enough, he's actually been able to play a slow game long enough, and with 6 turrets taken, he's got the gold income to be reasonable here.
Yeah. I mean, big difference right now. Like, Keith is massive with these extra kills. The reason they have to back off here is because he got chunked out. Now Keith is basically dead. For the purposes of that fight, Keith was killed by that spear because he had to get out of there. He only had 100 life left, and they had to give up the life of KFO. They did take down at least the Guardian Angel from Quas, so maybe if they have another fight quickly here, that will matter. There is an exposed inhibitor for them to return to, but Baron and Elder Dragon coming up next. So the next team fight, if you overextend on trying to kill that inhibitor, big comeback potential with so much power out on the map in neutral objectives. NRG could make a last stand inside their base. They could turn around that team fight and then take a lot back from you.
We'll see, yeah, we are getting later on into the game, 36.5 minutes. We've got some pretty sizable death timers, and if the gold's close enough, you know either team could win a fight. Quick blue buff once again over to Froggen. Baron and Elder Dragon, both a minute away. Some teams like to trade them back and forth and play with the better one. Some try to have both, use one to take the other. We'll see what it actually ends up being. NRG having to play defense, though.
In this situation, I really like just starting up the Baron. I like concentrating all your efforts on Baron first and Elder Dragon second. For Echo Fox, is because the Elder Dragon on NRG isn't that big of a buff for NRG.
Yeah, you can give it away.
Yeah, exactly. While NRG really want to deny it from Echo Fox due to all the extra Drakes they have, it doesn't help them all that much if they trade it for Baron. And Baron really helps you push in and actually crack the inhibitors and finish out the game. So I feel like in these situations where both of them are up, I really put a lot more value on the actual Baron. Plus, it's a bit easier to take, and you don't risk as much, controlling vision over there and baiting that over and over. Regardless, though, towers are first. The objectives aren't up quite yet. Baron just spawns now. And KFO takes out the.
This could kill him. Ooh, yeah. If that hit him, he was dead. Managed to eat the orange. Saved Flash. He was confident enough in his juking to
that
not burn.
Ghostblade.
Yeah.
Right there, Ghostblade earns him extra flash cooldown, able to save it. And they got the turret first.
Yeah.
There it is. Focus that sucker down. They don't even have KFO out on the map. He could teleport, but
don't even need it. Double Mountain Drake, fast Baron take. They knew both Mega Inferno Bomb and Curtain Call were down. The semi-globals for NRG not on the map. And they said we can rush this. We've got map control, and that's one thing that Echo Fox has done well. Is basically the 3 minutes leading up to that point were all in preparation for Baron to make sure that the vision was there, that NRG couldn't see it coming, and that was accurate. So Baron buff worn by Echo Fox. The question is, do they look at Elder Dragon, do they look at turrets? Right now, the mid lane is the priority. Bot inhib has no turret, mid inhib does.
Oh, they have positioning on mid too.
Ooh.
You give extra speed to your minions with the Baron buff, and they can run those minions right up into the mid turret.
All right, they've got priority on it. Here we go. Damage on that turret. Quas gets hit up by KFO. Decent damage, but that's still a low health Nard. Last attack comes through. Keith needs someone to tank for him as he tries to regen his health back up. Stay tanky, stay tanky. KFO has to flash out. He's got to be careful here. Pops the barrel, only for move speed though. Hard just going to take away some jungle camps. KFO will slink away with his life, but even with Baron buff, with the gold lead, with the extra Drakes, Fox only got a turret for that whole thing. NRG honestly playing very good defense, and Fox really getting poked out.
Yeah, I mean, NRG hold on for a little bit more, but they can't give anything else up. Now there's 2 exposed inhibitors.
Yeah.
And Echo Fox will come and knock in once again. The Elder Dragon could try and draw them out. I don't know if NRG actually want to go outside their base, though.
It's very risky.
It's very risky to go out there and run through the jungle. They don't have any vision. I say you just seed it, actually.
I think they might have to. Echo Fox with the turret kills up 10,000 gold. They all recalled, they all bought, so that 10k gold is actually in items in the inventory. They've still got more than a minute and a half left on Baron, and they can now take a double Mountain Drake Infernal Dragon. This seems to be a very likely take. You can see they kill it very quickly thanks to the double Mountain and the Baron buff. That's going to go down, and now it's basically a 2-minute huge power play. We have got a 4-stack Elder Dragon and a Baron buff. Echo Fox should be able to use this to win the game.
Echo Fox have played this game in a very calm manner, considering how much is on the line for them. Game number 1 opening actually very strong. I mean, Froggen with the plays in mid lane to get first blood for the team, but other than that, it was mostly just small advantages, earning a little bit of control on the map, you know, some priority in lanes and transitioning over to the Drakes. Consistent work there to control the Drakes, and it's all manifested in this Elder Dragon. 2 exposed inhibitors, minions on that bottom line inhibitor while they're all grouped up mid as well.
But look at the spam coming out of GBM. No one's able to really threaten him, and he's just been able to get a little bit of poke down on a Big and Keith, and Echo Fox were not able to get in on the inhibitor. They run down to the bot side, hoping to get priority there. A couple of the minions pushed in. Here comes Curtain Call. Here comes the fight. And Echo Fox are unwilling to do battle with a 5-stack Elder Dragon and a Baron buff and a 10,000 gold lead.
Well, they waited out the Jhin ultimate. Now they can move in for free and take this. And oh, Kiwi Kid gets chunked.
Oh, huge barrel chain, and that's going to be the follow-up for Keith. Echo Fox finally get the opening. That's bottom inhibitor down, mid inhibitor to follow as well, and looks like the patience finally does pay off for Echo Fox. It's an almost impossible defense now for NRG eSports. Nexus turret number 1 is down. Nexus turret number 2 under fire, and there just is not any stopping. Here comes Santorin trying to save the day. Hops out with the Zonias. There goes the Nexus, and game 1 goes to Echo Fox. Hard-fought road, but one they were able to travel down so far. 1/3 of the way there now is Echo Fox. So NRG are actually 0-4 in the promotion tournament.
NRG do need to turn up the pace.
Yeah.
Because they were giving away, you know, yes, a 1 kill, yes, a minion wave here, yes, a minion wave there, yes, maybe some damage on the turret. And they never came back. Oh, they made some attempts with the Jhin ultimate and got a couple picks. But with the 1 pick, that turned into the Baron attempt, which actually was just more kills for Fox. And honestly, pretty much control for most of that game, pretty much all of that game for Echo Fox.
Yeah, and when Echo Fox's primary weakness has been a lack of control, of playing a bit too slow, honestly, and waiting for things to happen, the fact that NRG still were outpaced by Echo Fox is definitely a worrying trend for that squad. We'll see if they can bounce back here in this one, but Echo Fox closed out game 1. And for a closer look at that win, let's send it back to Riven Azale.
Thank you very much, Freak. And a lot of people were wondering what the Fox had to say. They make a pretty good statement coming out in game 1. Thanks. And we see that
You got me.
we see, you know, 10K gold lead at the end, like Freak and Kobe said at the end. Very methodical, very slow pace of play. And we haven't really seen that from them. A lot of the play between both of these teams has been scattered throughout the season.
And honestly, you know, this is something I was talking with Jad about the other day, is Echo Fox has always kind of struggled in these 1-3-1 situations, in the kind of scaling split push, even though it seems like they draft for it a lot, you know, Gangplank in one side lane, well, more classically with the Fiora, they do it a lot, but they always end up getting caught on one side, get engaged on the other side.
Right.
This time they actually were able to pull it off pretty well, and I think a lot of that started in the draft.
They played it really well, getting KFO fed up, getting scale. Both teams wanted to scale on this one.
Yeah.
And where we want to start off in our replays is in the mid lane. Something we see in a lot of games across the board is you get mid lane summoners blown, and then we don't see the team repeat that. We don't see the team go back. And here, NRG did that right away on Froggen.
Exactly, and this was a great little early gank here, right? Santorin and Kiwi Kid walk in, they get Flash, they get Ghost, and you know, they never return to the scene of crime. You need to capitalize on that or you get nothing from it. And it's actually GBM is the one who gets first blooded, even though they forced both those summoners on Froggen. They get nothing from it. They're playing too passively, and GBM pays the price. You know, it gets Froggen rolling in the start of the game. And GBM, the Ziggs pick never really panned out. I think it was an idea where it's like, okay, we draft this comp. We have Nidalee, we have Jhin, we have Ziggs, we have Karma for shields, and we have this big tank in the front, right? We engage with, you know, Nidalee spears and Jhin ulti, and then Ziggs throws his ultimate out there and follows it up, and then they're all getting poked down, and then Gnar runs in, and that's kind of like the idea here, spread up by the Karma shields, and Nidalee's healing people up for your poke, right? So that's the idea, but it never really came to fruition, and a lot of that, I think, was like Echo Fox had a really good draft. I think Gangplank is a very good matchup in an R. Yes, you can kind of get harassed early game, but because Gangplank can farm very safely, you can farm with your Qs, you can use barrels, and especially once you hit Triforce, you're essentially one-shotting the backline anyway.
Exactly.
There's very little danger, you're scaling well, and you hit on this was the Trundle pick ended up being so successful, especially because, you know, Quas was kind of that solo tank. He had a lot of
all he built.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, there was no tank support, there was no tank jungler, so he had to go all in on tank builds, which just kind of doubles down on the fact that Trundle is stealing all these stats from you, and you're just making Trundle massive. So it feels bad, but when you draft no other tank, he couldn't really afford to go that kind of split push build. Either way, you know, I think things worked out pretty well with that for Echo Fox.
And we saw a lot of times that Echo Fox kind of had energy on the run. It was the global Gangplank. It was that Rek'Sai global, being able to tunnel anywhere and cause kind of an intense moment just with the Void Rush global sound. And then we saw NRG kind of fight back. 29 minutes in, they said, if we can see the majority of the players on the Rift, we're going to go for them. And they tried to bite off quite a bit here and then lost quite a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, they get the first couple kills and it's looking like, hey, this is going to be huge for them. Not only do you kill the mid laner, you kill the jungler and Baron is up. And then they go to the Baron, which is the correct play, but they never actually turn to fight. Look at them sitting here. Gangplank ulti is in there. Keith is just walking up into the team in melee range, you know, just shooting them all. He dashes forward into the team. They're trying to finish it, and sure, Santorin smites away the Baron, but you gave over a quadra kill eventually here to Keith, and this is what made Keith massive. It's just like they know you're supposed to go to this place on the map. They know you're supposed to go to Baron, but they failed to kind of understand what it was they should have done once they got there. And I mean, ignoring Gangplank, who's going to be able to throw barrels in, has AoE ulti, you know, a pretty strong Lucian at this point. So this was like a really good start to something. And had NRG actually been able to play that properly, you know, peel off, kill those three guys, take the Baron, this game could be massively different, right? This could be a game that they win. Instead, Keith gets fed. They get the Baron, but everyone dies, and it turns into a tragedy.
It's just a risk versus reward, which I think we haven't seen a lot from these teams being chose in good decision, where you'd go for a big risk, such as NRG did. And Echo Fox knew that risk was a quadra kill, possibly also with the bag of chips that could have been Baron. And when you're in that position where your risk, the reward is bigger than the risk is always going to be. Echo Fox can be up 10K, make those plays, and come out stronger. Choosing blue side as well coming into the next game, I think gives Echo Fox a little bit of a handle on the picks bans once again. A lot of the talk is, do we focus Froggen? But now, do you focus KFO? How do you ban out both of those guys?
Yeah, it's tough. And GP was something that was banned a lot against KFO, I believe, against TLA the other day. So, you know, if you let that through, you have to be worried about it. Sivir, while it's pretty high priority, and, you know, and Xerath and stuff, obviously, like, was getting banned out. You know, there are some different bans and stuff that are happening, and there's a lot of focus, obviously, on Froggen. You know, like the double ban on Froggen. You know, but do you need the Soraka ban? Who knows? Sometimes it's tough to say because there's always like, okay, well, if you let the Soraka through, then maybe you're blaming the game on the Soraka, and it's also like at the end of the day, people are gonna get champions that they're comfortable on, and they're gonna get good ones.
Exactly.
But you just got to deal with what you're given.
We need 6 bans on each side. There you go. We're going to take a brief program break, but do not go anywhere. The LCS promotion tournament resumes in 3.5 minutes.
High five, okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Now we can win. Let's go.
Suppression to knock him into silence. He actually can't cast any spells. The perfect layering of crowd control.
Target early.
Getting hit up, goes to the silence. Oh, back into GBM, and they get the combo out, and he's gonna burn down to the ignite. Kiwicket trains it back.
Oh, come on, sorry. Yeah, I'm on
맞아, 맞아.
Nice.
Nice.
Fight him in the pit. Exhausted, no.
Jen in the back. Jen in the back. Jen's in the back.
Jen. No. I'm dead.
Move mid afterwards.
Karma's dead. Karma's dead.
Nice.
In it.
There goes the Nexus in game one. Goes to Echo Fox.